As business owners, entrepreneurs, family men, it's difficult for us to find the time to put together projects like these. Even though it's something we really want to do, unfortunately, taking care of the things we have to take care of comes first. However, because of viewer support for people like you, we're able to continue doing this. Please consider joining our Patreon and supporting the Burn and Return podcast. You're listening to Burn and Return, a weekly 1-hour podcast covering news from the agricultural and turfgrass industries.
Pardon me. That's how I chose to start the show today. Just mimicking our resident 16-year-old fast food workers and checkout line people who have completely run out of soul in life and anything that exists that makes a human they are now devoid of, and we just want to do our best at imitating them. Do what? Go ahead.
You gotta make it a range. I mean, how old Spencer? 22, 23? 16 to 23.
Yeah.
Can we just
Zoomer as shit.
Yeah, that guy's on one.
Imagine what that guy would be like in the workforce. It comes in and be like, bunch of damn liberal foreign North Koreans in here, and I'd be like, we are actively trying to get rid of a union to the point that we are ready to firebomb it. Smells like fucking North Korea to me. Way to kick off the show. By the way, fun fact. We'll just hold this up to the camera here and see if it shows. If anybody can see that, focus, you fuck. Focus, you fuck. It's not gonna focus. That is Spencer calling me last night. There it goes. At 11:38. Just touching base to remind me. Provide that ever reminder there. Hey, Matt, don't forget, I'm here to fucking keep you threatened. As you look into my eyes after licking the window for the last 23 and a half minutes with your fucking scrambled egg brain, just smooth as a whistle. Mouth breathing all over the place. Good times to be alive. Anyway, that was all on the pre-show. If you want to check that out, patreon.com/burn-and-return. We talk about those kinds of things. Man, that shit is fucking weird. It is weird. I'm not talking about Spencer. I'm talking about a lot of the youth I encountered today. It's different, especially in the South, where we're used to casual conversations and all the weird things we do in the
friendly
South.
People,
right?
Friendly people, nice people. I mean,
I think that's a rural town thing, right? Whenever you live in kind of a rural area, we all been in rural areas. Everybody's a little chattier in a rural area, right? And how's he doing?
Well,
that's your family been.
That's why I say that's why I say that. Or not. Matt, that is why I say essentially, Hawaii is just like the South in a lot of aspects. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at least a lot of the people that are over the age of, I want to say 40, they're like that. Okay, they're like,
and then
they're
my
nice.
Generation came along and just fucked it all up. And it's God. I'll say this. I would say that 80% of my generation is still chatty, right? Like can have a conversation with you. To whatever degree imaginable. I mean, we'll at least attempt to have a conversation, even if it's to say, I don't even know what you're talking about. I hit the bong before I got here, and you were way over my head, right? But the young kids of today will just slack jaw, open mouth, breathe on you, and give you eyes devoid of life, and it's a thing. By the way, let's check out this week's headlines.
Nothing to fear here,
This is just the news. We are basically going to talk about just two things for the entirety of the show today. We're going to talk about fertilizer, and then we're going to talk about turf. that sounds broad, but it's going to be way more narrow than I'm making it out to be, right? But these are two things that are kind of actively taking place, and I'll explain why. Did you see something that was written there? Or?
No, it's
What did you laugh at?
check in the group chat.
Oh,
You'll just
in the group chat.
Yeah.
Wait, let me go.
Oh boy.
Oh man,
It's gonna be great.
Oh boy, we're even teasing the fucking listeners right now. They don't even know.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about fertilizer. We're going to talk about turf. So there was a big push with grant spending towards developing fertilizer technology and expanding fertilizer technology that currently exists, their production capacity, right? And there's a commitment to several billions of dollars that are going into this over a multi-year period, and so as a result of that, we're going to see some kind of strange things happen in fertilizer, right? There are going to be a lot of new things that are coming online. There's going to be probably some more wild swings in what do you call it? In commodity pricing because of things coming online. Then bad news about it. Then good news. Then bad news. Then of course we still have the fuckery that is the Middle East and the fusion of Ivy League and Hamas and the elites of the world have all kind of formed like this conglomerate to make sure everyone knows that they hate Jewish people. And so it's a weird things are happening in the world right now. And as a result of that, there's going to be some commodity instability, right? We saw China back out on monumental amounts of purchases of beans and just grain in general this year. And it started originally with the U.S. and shifting to Latin America. And then Latin America is struggling real bad right now in the southern hemisphere on some of their getting plantings in, drought, all kinds of shit. They're not going to have good yields. It's looking like China may be shifting. Rumor mill has it they may be shifting some of that purchasing back to the U.S. So commodities are just all over the place, right? Corn is down, soybean is really down, and of course cattle is all over the place right now. Cattle super low. So it's weird, right? None of it's necessarily bad. It's just weird. A little bit more volatility than I would say is the standard. Okay, and we kind of keep that in the back of their mind, and that's why we're going to see a little bit of news related to fertilizer on this, because some people are going to get spooked with new money, new investment money moving into the space, right? And who else would shine their beacon of holy shit? I have an opinion on this than none other than Mosaic themselves, right? If you don't know, Mosaic is the number one supplier of none other than phosphorus in the United States. Now, if anyone has seen in the news every so many years, I guess it's on a 3-year news cycle, they will flood the news with articles that says we are running out of phosphorus, and when we do, life will cease to exist, because phosphorus is the building block of all forms of life, right? Well, what's fascinating about phosphorus too is that phosphorus in and of itself is practically infinitely recyclable, okay? And so that means, as it exists in shit, like we saw it being recycled with biosolids, and then unfortunately we kind of ran into some problems with PFAS making its way into the shit as well. And then turns out we ingest a lot of hormones as humans, whether we're trying to keep babies from being made or whatever the case may be. We got a lot of fucking hormones. We got a lot of antibiotics in the shit too, and it's kind of turning into a problem. So we're having to put the kibosh. And from everyone I see right now, and this is from an outsider looking in, I am involved in this space enough to say biosolids are on their way out at a record pace. About as quickly as they were accepted and brought into the space is what forecast is going to happen on the way out. Now, there will be some people that just hang on to it because they still have people that do not give a shit at the end of the day and are going to continue buying it. But by and large, I think for insurance purposes and fear of like watching what's happening with Bayer and glyphosate, they're kind of like, I don't know if I want to take a $15 billion bet on this, and I'll just go ahead and slide my chips in, and we'll find an alternative, right? Okay, we did good for the last 20 years. Well, we did good enough. Thanks. Have a nice day, and move on, right? So Mosaic here is they are starting to look for the promotion of fair trade in American ag and fertilizer to keep American ag and fertilizer strong. When I see this and I think about the damn fair trade, and like, you buy a bag of coffee, right? And it's got the fair trade, a seal of approval on it that, 10-year-olds in the rainforest did not forge this coffee by hand and feet, right? So you feel good about buying it. If I feel like Mosaic is saying that we want to put a stamp of approval on our phosphorus that says made in America, fair trade, phosphorus strong Mosaic seal of approval, because we also import a lot of phosphate from Morocco. We also used to bring in a shitload from China, but it is not economically feasible to import phosphorus from China right now because of the dumping fees that was introduced under Trump. Trump had this thing that we were going to make American and we were going to buy American, and so we were going to tariff the absolute holy fuck out of affordability of anything that did not originate in America or one of our immediate, friendly trading partners, right? So as a result of that, you practically anything that has N, P, or K in it, including a certain amount of micronutrients, you affordably cannot import from a lot of places, right? Well, we've kind of softened that, and Morocco is back on the space with phosphate. They've got some big ass phosphorus mines, and they can help create a little bit more competition on the monopoly that Mosaic currently has on the phosphorus market. Now, with that said, Mosaic is like, no, absolutely, we do not want Moroccan phosphate here. Here's the thing, and this is the reality of the situation, is that now that we are seeing more investment money in fertilizer technology space, and for example, one of the ones I saw is a newly peer-reviewed published paper on using struvite. Struvite being a byproduct of wastewater treatment facilities, right? So instead of targeting the entire biosolid, what they're doing is the scale, the phosphorus, the calcium, phosphorus, and magnesium scale that forms on pipes as they're moving it around, recycling that as a phosphate fertilizer. And what they're seeing is that at equivalent rates, or even reduce some rate reduction compared to ammonium phosphate, still achieving equal yields, right? Do you hear that? Equal yields. And the reason why is that the solubility has been reduced. Therefore, you have enhanced efficiency. So making small amounts of it available over a longer period of time, or simply relying on what we all can love and agree upon as it works in our favor, that being root exudates, to mine your phosphorus for you. That's not mycorrhizae. You don't have to have mycorrhizae to mine phosphorus. Soils naturally already have it. Just a fun fact there. The plant themselves can find it and take it up. It's the Again, remember, the phosphorus is the building block of life. It's also the plants are miracles of life, right? And they show it to us all the time. So I digress to point out there that here Mosaic is saying they want a free trade seal to state that hey, we ain't Moroccan phosphorus in here, baby. We are dick strong, headstrong, made in America, monopoly phosphorus in this bag of fertilizer. I don't know, guys. It sounds a little garbage to me. I could be reading this wrong. Am I reading this wrong?
I think it's them going on a
limb. Sorry. I did me too.
I think it's them pushing back on the notion that there's going to have to be phosphorus binding all over the world in order to meet this large demand that is forthcoming, because biosolids and other waste are those streams are closing off. And I don't know. Let me ask you this, guys. Do you care where it comes from? Because let me just say this: as nobody's cared before, I don't know that anybody's going to care now. I mean,
No,
have you do you Ray, let me ask Ray, do you only use locally sourced artisanal phosphorus in your fertilizer?
Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely damn not. I mean,
Ray
my
goes and gets a
position.
baguette and a little bit of phosphorus at the farmer's market.
Yeah, my position on inputs is I'm after the most efficient and economically priced inputs I can get my hands on. And because, by the way, one of my main products is literally sourced from Israel. Yep. One of the big products that I use quite.
Do not tell the elite. Lord have mercy, you're gonna get canceled, Ray. My God, you promoter of genocide,
or all the people in Morocco.
No, they can go get fucked, because I will proudly say that I use potassium nitrate from Israel.
Get fucked.
Get fucked. Exactly. I don't care. Okay, I really don't care, because they make a good product. It fits a need. So all of the wokey dokey Muslim sympathizers can get screwed. I don't care.
Free Morocco.
There.
In talking about fertilizer prices, UAN has finally started to soften. Right, it took a big dip at the start of the year. It's kind of held steady, and it has taken a dip. Right, and we are down approximately just at 50% compared to where we were last year. Right, especially at the peak of last year, for sure. We're down 50%. Right, so. Looking way more stable and affordable there. And the good news is that it did soften, because we are also seeing softening prices on other important grain commodities that rely on UAN 28, right? So good news for everybody that sprays Greene County fertilizer, because the UAN, your primary nitrogen source, has softened a bit. So you were working out in your favor there. And I believe, in honest to God, in absolute good faith, I think John does do a commodity plus premium on the UAN product. So it is what it is there. I get it. People will have to sell UAN. That is not where you make your margin, and you sell it for whatever you can get for it. So I was making a joke, but I am not sliding him for it, because you cannot make a fucking living off just selling UAN. You cannot, not at all. And so you have to spice it up to create a commodity plus situation for it, because it is not the kind of market you want to make your revenue in. Okay, so we made it through our headlines. The other thing I wanted to say here is again, thank you everybody for what you afford us the opportunity to do, and we're gonna do some giving back at the end of this year, right? So I want to make it clear. Do we have a firm date that we are doing this? What is the date? I'm
28th, Thursday, the 28th.
Okay. We are doing our end of the year episode, the 28th. It is going to be a combination of all kinds of fun things. And what we are going to do is, prior to taxes, you gotta empty the bank account, right? So we're going to give. It's a joke. That is 100% a joke. We got to do a corporate buyback of stock. Sorry.
Are we going to go buy?
Not sorry.
Is Ron Henry doing another 5% off giveaway?
Can he afford another 5%? What is he? Oh God Almighty! We can't.
Lord.
Hey, look. It is the eve of Thanksgiving. Well, the post eve of Thanksgiving. If you can get a second or third mortgage, just make sure you max out as much as you can, as much as you can afford.
Yeah, we got to finish. We got to finish Q4 strong.
Sells.
It's absurd.
We'll probably finish it something.
We'll probably sell you Q4 on New Year's Eve.
What if this was Ron Henry outside of the camera?
I don't doubt it.
I do. I bet he's sociable outside of the camera too. I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, we were able to do this, and we're able to give back because of the support that we get from the community. And in all honest to goodness, it is one of the more fun parts of the things we do. Also, one of the more stressful things that we do, but it is fun nonetheless because it requires a lot of organization and that other stuff, and that it takes additional effort from our parts, which we all run businesses or are employed full time in a no M&A or merger and acquisitions taking place in our space or anything of the sort that would make everybody's anxiety level cranked up to fucking 10, if you know what I'm talking about. Hey, J Pink. Hi, J Pink. So anyway, patreon.com/burn return if you're of means to do. If not, trust me, I ain't gonna be mad at you. I fucking get it. In fact, how about this? At that episode, we'll give away a couple of memberships for our Discord and stuff, and let them get in there and hang out. We'll give away some memberships. How about that? That'll be fun too. Get them in there and hanging out and cajoling and all the other fun stuff.
Pandering. Is Travis going to get one?
I'm pandering. Absolutely, I would give one to Travis in a fucking heartbeat, dude. I'm telling you, he would grow hair on his chest, and then he would call each and every one of us and say, "Thank you." I had no idea that I legitimately liked you guys that much. I'm telling you, it would be a game changer. So anyway, that's coming up, but we're able to do that because of the Patreon, patreon.com/burn return. If you have the means, I know inflation is still only scaling at the rate of, like 3% a fucking month or whatever. No big deal there, right? Everybody's keeping. Is everybody getting a 3% raise per month right now to make things just fine and dandy for you? No. Good. Me neither. Go fuck yourself, the government. Anyway, let's check out. You know who else said go fuck yourself? The elite said that to the Jews. It's pretty fascinating. Let's check out this week's Joe Knows Turf.
Joe Knows Turf. Hi, I'm Joe. I'm gonna give you a bunch of accurate turf facts today because Joe knows turf.
Hey, real quick before we do this, I'm gonna say, as people who, I don't care what your opinion is of Elon Musk. But listen, as someone who regularly commits career suicide and kind of wears it as a badge of honor of, like, putting my foot in my fucking mouth over and over and over, what Elon did when he sat on that stage and he said to Bob Iger, "Go fuck yourself," I'm not gonna lie, I was like, that took a set of balls that I don't know what kind of drugs I would have to be on to do that in that kind of situation with that kind of look on my face. He was clearly nervous as shit and running on pure adrenaline, but the fact that he was able to get it out with such fucking weirdness and authority, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, buddy, I get it. Man, I know exactly what you're feeling right now. That's all. Go ahead, DeMay.
Well, speaking of that, so tonight we're going to look at a set of charts or some marketing material that was sent to us to inspect, and it's actually a textbook. I wouldn't call it dubious, but a little stretching of the truth, maybe not quite all the way accurate. So this was sent to us some social media posts that were up. JP, go ahead and throw these up, and then we're going to talk about turfgrass seed tonight, gentlemen, and some of the claims made here. So you'll see this commonly in magazines, trade publications, social media, things like that, where, hey, this particular brand, and it's anything, right? The Dodge Ram was number one at JD Power, like whatever. This is the same thing you'll see with turfgrass, right? So seed becomes something that is extremely difficult to try and sort out, right? So we've got tools and things, and they try to draw into question some of the data that we have available to us from the National Turfgrass Evaluation Program, otherwise known as NTEP. And there's reams of data that go back more than 20 years at this point, looking at different cultivars and how they perform in a variety of different characteristics rated against other varieties within that same trial. Now, it's not cheap to do this for the seed company. So every one that they put in there is tens of thousands of dollars it takes for them to put on the line and see where they stack up. And quite often, they'll have done quite a bit of their own research to this point to know which ones are worth entering and to kind of see, all right, who are we going to latch on to, or which cultivar are we going to latch on to and put this forward, right? You'll also have experimentals and different ones in there that they feel very, very strongly about bringing to market, and they want to see how it fares against some of the known contenders and maybe some of the ones that are market leaders at that point that might be in there. So we look at this graphic here, and what you'll see is it's ranked number 1 for quality and color. Okay, integrity is the variety here, and this is Burger Seed Company. So I'm not here to call out Burger. It's a classic marketing technique. I'm using this as an example. So take it for what it's worth. All right. So when we look across the chart, Oregon and Pennsylvania. All right. So when we go and look at this across the chart, we'll notice that these ratings are done on a 1 to 9 scale, 1 being bad, 9 being the best. Okay. And color and quality are also are done mainly via subjective measurements, right? Density, texture, to a lesser degree, but we're really focusing here on quality and color because those are the claims that are made in this advertisement. Okay. So when we look down through all these numbers, these are averages, right, from Oregon site and the Pennsylvania site. And the way that the NTEP works is that there's sites, I think there's 16 or 18 or 19, I can't remember the exact number right now, sites around the country in which they'll plant many of the same grasses, pretty much all the same, within a group of, say tall fescue or creeping bentgrass, Bermuda grass in some locations, not in others, based on weather, climate, things like that. Okay. So as they go and rate these and they put them and group these things based on the ratings that they get, it is kind of important where things stack up here in terms of the averages of what you see. I'll go ahead and flip over to that next graphic there, J Pink, that I sent you. So here's another one, extreme green. Now, these are both turf type fall fescue grasses, right? All the claim benefits kind of running down there through the bottom. What you've got, same thing, turf quality, high degree of color, high degree of quality, high degree of durability is what this one claims. Okay. Now, what's interesting is that what they don't tell you in here is when you look at this data array, we're looking for one really, really important piece of information that's not listed on here, Ray. And what might that be if we're looking at statistics in this particular case?
I don't see confidence intervals, first of all.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
and sorry, because LSDs.
We'll talk about the year in a minute.
Yeah, LSDs. I mean, I'm not seeing all of these statistical markers that got hammered into my head, sophomore year of college.
So, JPEG, pull up that website I told you to go to, and let's look at this. This is a website. Basically, NTEP is a whole bunch of text-based ASCII tables that you can go and look through and sort through. Now, the University of Minnesota has done a great service to everybody in partnering with NTEP to provide these in basically pivot tables. Okay. So we can go and select the individual cultivar and it pops up. And Matt, to answer your question, this is the 2006 to 2011 test, which came out in 2012. I think it was reported. Yeah. So that's another thing that you'll see is that, yes, it was reported as number 1, but it was back when the kid that was taking Matt's order today, at the local fast food joint was still a sperm, right? So does it really exist or doesn't? I don't know. Okay, so go ahead and click that search button there, and let's see what we get. So we're looking for integrity. So slide down there. It's all alphabetical, J Pink. So this is a really, really handy table. So I would strongly encourage you, if you're looking at individual cultivars, if you're going to your reps and looking for seed, for fall over seed, or whatever it is that you're doing, it's a great way to look at this. Okay, so we look at integrity across the board. Now, slide back over to the left there, J Pink. Keep going and give me some more. Yeah, so the thing that I want you to look at the top row there, third row down, actually, LSD. Okay, so the table average is 0.1. And then each one of these sites has an average or an LSD, right, going across that second column. So 0.3 in Fayetteville, Arkansas, right? So what that means is the top score, which I believe in Fayetteville there, is 7.1. Anything that's within 0.3 of a point of that is all grouped, is all statistically the same. It performed exactly the same. So this is not like a college football poll ranking per se, right? This is giving you groupings of the best, then the next best, then the next best. Now, the nice thing about this particular tool, and again, I encourage you to go on and look up University of Minnesota and NTEP. You'll be able to get to it. But the nice thing here is that you'll be able to see, okay, how does this group? Is this in the first group, the second group, third group? Because that's all you really want to know. And the other thing too is you'll notice is that when you start to look at different categories, you can use this as a pivot table and cross compare different categories like overall turf grass quality and disease resistance or insect resistance, drought tolerance, things like that, right? And that becomes really, really important because maybe the seed that you're comparing prices on from, say, Site One over here and I don't know, Advanced Turf over here, yes, they might both be an 80-10-10, 80% tall turf type tall fescue, 10% Kentucky bluegrass, 10% perennial rye. But what are you getting in that bag, and how does that stack up? Because you'll see claims like this made in these preceding ads or social media posts all the time. You'll see stuff exactly like this. Nobody's going to say, "Hey, you know what? We did really, really good in insect resistance, but we were in the second group of turf quality." Nobody's going to tell you that. So I would caution you to be a better buyer when you're looking at this stuff. And if you're a homeowner, you're listening to this and thinking about doing a renovation, something like that, you know what the big ones are, but look at your site. It's really nice because you can go right across and look at each one of these sites where they tested this stuff, mostly at land-grant universities, and find the one that's closest to you and just see how it performs in certain categories. So the last thing, too, is just like we were saying on the year. Matt made a great point that he went back probably to the 21 report, to the 20 report, and was like, I don't see this stuff. Where's it at? It doesn't exist. And you'll get this, and it says, yes, it came in whatever place in the NTEP, but they won't tell you that it was from 2006 when they first entered it into the NTEP. So a lot of advancements have been made in genetics, specifically in turf type tall fescue genetics. So I'd caution people as they leaf through some of this literature, guys, maybe just take a step back and figure out where are you getting that from and how can you verify and do your own research on this. And we just gave you a tool and a way to do that. So, hey, how about that? Something nice, a good, feel good. It feels like, Lassie came home and found NTEP,
For sure.
Are you ready to just set it all on fire as if it never existed?
No, I think that, what do you think Timmy would be like today if he had Lassie? That'd be a really different show.
I don't know. I've never seen it, so I can't tell you. Let's check out this week's Burns. Fuck Timmy. Timmy's a fucking window licker, isn't he? Just kidding. It's still a joke. I have no idea. I don't even know what Lassie's about, to be honest. I have zero fucking clue. I know they yelled Lassie. And that was the joke around my house, was yelling Lassie, but Lassie was never on a TV in my house ever growing up, so couldn't tell you. By the way, if anybody's ever heard of the lawn care company in Florida called Massey, is a huge outfit out of Florida, like one of the most successful lawn care companies in America. Man, they got into a shitty situation. It is no fault of their own. I think this is 2023 in a nutshell. They hired a 27-year-old, and it turns out he has been charged with a misdemeanor count of lewd exhibition and a felony account of lewd exhibition to an elderly person in connection to two separate incidents. A 76-year-old woman reported the employee after she came to her home in Davenport October 26th. After he came to her home to give her an estimate on pest control. The employee went into her bathroom, then stepped out with his penis exposed. He told the woman his zipper was broken and needed help to fix it, to which she refused. They contacted Massey and were told that this is the second complaint they have received about the employee. Come fucking get his ass, please. They terminated him, and of course he was picked up. They met with the other woman who had reported the worker and said, he had come into her home July 24th for some lawn care. Again, he told the woman his zipper was broken and his penis was exposed. We were notified for the first time on October 24th about both the October 24th and July 24th incidents. So they got both reports at the exact same time. We immediately suspended the employee while we conducted an internal investigation on October 25th and terminated his employment on October 26th. We deeply care about our customers, and for Christ's sake, we did not know this guy was a psychopath. He used his work position to gain access to homes and then sexually expose themselves to women. The behavior is disgusting and predatory. Believe it's possible that more victims of this man could be out there, and if that's the case, please, God, come forward. Anyway, there we go. I have a spicy take on this. Is that when you are assessing your P&L, right? It is best that your employees are more important on the P side of the P&L because they all carry inherent risk, right? As much as I hate to say it, humans are risk because today's age, you never know when a bad batch of the wrong medication makes its way into old boy's gut or brain, and then all of a sudden he is whipping out his Johnson for Mrs. Johnson to help remove from his stuck zipper. I hope that this guy gets the holy fuck beat out of him by every other fucking lawn care guy at Massey that now has to live with that kind of craziness in their purview by this fucking pervert. I hope they beat the fuck out of this guy, and I fucking mean that. Jeez, man, I feel so bad for all the other lawn care guys there. I mean that. That's coming from a guy who has had a customer expose himself to me. In Augusta, Georgia, I've not been shy about this. I had an old man fake as if he could not hear well, and so he would not be able to hear me if I rang the doorbell to pick up a check to spray his lawn for my lawn application. And he said, "Just open the door, and you can come get it." He said, "Call when you get there. Open the door, come get it." And so, of course, I opened the door. And he was standing there nude with his wee hanging out, just beating on it as if it were fucking beef jerky, just more
Lucky,
like a fucking deflated balloon, just having fucking at it. So
lucky you, Matt,
again,
because I got reached for by an old pervert, and naturally, when he stuck his hand out, I proceeded to use that hand to throw him against the wall.
there are weird people out there, and again, this guy has to live in the wake of that, and it is, God, I would hate to be ever. Could you imagine going to work on Tuesday? Imagine being the guy who takes that dude's route and being like, "Oh
Jesus, God!"
And then you show up. Did I dip out? Can you hear me? Maybe I just turned it down on my headphones on accident, swinging my hands wildly. But I was gonna say, you show up to Miss Grace or whatever, and Miss Grace is a 65-year-old lady that is in a wheelchair. Okay, the kindest lady you've ever met, always meets you at the door with a glass of water and some fucking Tootsie Rolls, and just the kindest lady ever. And then you show up, and now she doesn't come to the door anymore. And you're like, you finally catch her one day fucking at the garage, and she's trying to hurry up, get it closed. And you're like, "Man, hey, what's going on?" And she's like, "I'm tired of you guys showing up and telling me that their dick is stuck in their zipper and to get it out for them." And you're like, "Oh God."
Actually, Matt, I have an even worse possibility.
Please close your garage. Please go inside. Pretend I don't exist anymore. Yeah. I'm the lawn boy today. You can call me whatever you want. I'm sorry.
No. What if Miss Smith has her 38 special revolver in her hand when she meets you at the damn door?
I can't say I blame her. Wheelchair lady and some dude keeps whipping his Johnson out. Yeah, might feel fucking threatened. I get it.
Yeah, might feel rather unsafe. And for me, it would be, boy, your thingy is stuck in your zipper. Let me shoot that fucking thing off and fix it.
I think we're failing to recognize what could be happening here is that this very well could just be an upsell, in the program.
Ew, Ryan. No.
I had talked about Struvite before, and I had mentioned a newly published paper, and you know what? I went ahead and I threw it in here, and we have not had a chance to go through all of this, and I'm kind of putting everybody on the spot here, but I threw it up here as that it could go into the show notes. Everybody can read it, and us too. I think we can read it, and we can talk about this at a future time. However, I'll read a highlight here. A promising new form of ammonium phosphate fertilizer has been field tested. The fertilizer Struvite offers a triple win for sustainability and crop production. It recycles, namely phosphorus, from wastewater streams, reduces leaching of phosphorus and nitrogen to agricultural soils, and maintains or improves soybean yield compared to conventional phosphorus fertilizers. Again, what you're going to see here is that in my opinion, I think and Struvite, by the way, is magnesium ammonium phosphate, right? I think you might see a trace amount of calcium in there just by the way it ends up happening. But what my point of including this in here is to say is that with more investment money in this space, and because phosphorus can be recycled so efficiently and so effectively, and the reason why is because it's very reactive with other materials in a non-soluble way, right? So it reacts easily with things that makes it very insoluble. And as a solid, it is much easier to contain it, retain it, and recycle it than it is were it a very soluble liquid. For example, if people say, I've heard people say, why don't we just capture the urea out of urine? Because of everything else that's dissolved in urine, right? And so as you start adding things to precipitate out all these other all these other elements that are in its ionic form in urine, you can't just target urea ions. You can't just target sodium ions, right? And then it becomes very difficult where you have to do cascading reactions in order to get down to just urea, for example. And so it becomes a very inefficient process. It's cost
I'm familiar with
prohibitive.
the process. I'm familiar with the process to actually separate urea from urine. And
Is
it's
it
kind
a
of a pain in the
one-step
butt.
solution? Exactly.
No.
Mhm.
This is a hassle because first you need to remove the majority of the water, and then you need to utilize a selective solvent that the urea is soluble in, but the other ions are not. However, me with the wheels turning in my head, it's the other ions that are of interest because we have a supposedly limited supply of phosphorus, and potassium is difficult to get. However, a lot of potassium and phosphorus are normally excreted by the body. I mean, potassium and phosphorus are actually waste products
Yeah,
because
you're not gonna exhale fucking potassium. How about that? Plenty of CO2 we will pass out of our lungs, but which is carbon and oxygen, but we are not going to be exhaling a bunch of K ions.
Yeah, so the only other way for that to leave is via urine, and I learned a fun fact. Failure to be able to remove potassium ions from the body is a lethal condition.
Yep.
You're going to die.
No bueno. Literally. Literally.
Yeah, you're going to die.
It will fuck your heart up bad.
Yeah, but anyway, going into this whole concept of attempting to recycle phosphorus, as an aside, I think we've been going about it the wrong way. And do you know why I say that, Matt? It is because, do you know where I would be extracting phosphorus from? I would be extracting phosphorus
dead bodies
from the ashes left after biosolids, quote unquote, has been high temperature incinerated.
Yeah, pyrolyzing it and then collecting it, or not even pyrolyzing it, just going ahead and doing a full gasification or burn of it.
Yeah, just do a with oxygen incineration, such that all of the undesirable organic compounds are destroyed by the fire, and what you have left behind are what are known as inorganic phosphate salts, be it calcium phosphate, potassium phosphate, sodium phosphate, whatever it may be. And then at that point, that may be recycled into either phosphoric acid or ammonium phosphate. But I honestly think that we've been going about it the wrong way, because we've been trying to utilize biosolids and sewage without destroying the organic contaminants.
Yeah, and I think, and that is one of the things I see too now popping up in the biomass to renewable energy space, is them incinerating biosolids, right? Is using that as a feedstock and taking that over. So I think
Burning
that
that shit.
will come, yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
The what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, I think that was it, right? And anyway, keep a close eye on new projects you see coming up. There's a green ammonia plant that is going to be popping up in Indiana. There's going to be another one popping up in Kentucky. There is shit. We're going to be talking about that in the returns. In fact, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go and just do this week's returns.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la
Oops.
la.
I am back. I'm back. I'm not black, but I could probably convince you of what I was if I tried real hard. Just kidding. Um, anyway, there is a great debate right now about playing on artificial versus natural turf surfaces. And a couple of things, right? If anybody's paid attention, they have started. JPEG, this is going to be the second article that is thrown up, and then we'll make our way to the top one. That is the Twitter article there. It says more NFL players injured as debate over turf fields heats up, right? And if we go down, there's a timeline that goes all the way. Oh shit, I don't know. We can start at September 10th, 2023, right down at the bottom. And then we have one here, a knee injury, and then Caden Stearns had an injury, hip injury, and then we had Jack Conklin, and then J.K. Dobbins, and then of course Aaron Rodgers. By the way, if anybody should champion the use of human growth hormone, boy oh boy, Aaron Rodgers and his comeback. Jeez. Nick Chubb, my God, that was nasty as hell. Oh my God, that was horrific. Good Lord Almighty, that was just disgusting. Trevin Diggs, Mike Williams, Kenny Pickett, Mike Evans, Tre'Davious White, Justin Jefferson, Matt Malone. I mean, it just goes on. Tannehill. I mean, my God. And then, okay. So I think I've made my point. It's continue MCL, ACL, and Achilles tear injuries, and a lot of the players are starting to talk about playing on grass, right? And there's a lot of great debate back and forth on this, and so I posted this one. That is a Twitter. So mind you, it's Twitter. So Adam Russell posted on Twitter here, and he said, this injury is 100% due to plastic. Tired of seeing great players go down on these inferior surfaces. Now, mind you, he is a grass grower. He works for vice president of MPP Genetics. He's part of turf organizations, the SMMFA of Georgia, TPI Turf Talk. Bad motherfucker in charge of Gateway Zoysia and Iron Cutter Bermuda. So definitely a one of the elite guys of grass growing, right? So it's easy to see where he might have a slant on this. But I will say this: he is not the only one. Xavier Worthy here has a nasty injury, and I like what he states right here. And mind you, Dr. Kaminsky has some kind of harsh words on it, but Kaminsky asked, based on what? I'm not saying you're wrong, but what is your opinion based on? And what he states, and I have seen this argument from other people, right? I think I saw it from one of the University of Arkansas guys. And he said the cleat skids too much initially from the rubber and then catches. It immobilizes the ankle as he tries to cut back right. It's too much force, not enough surface give, thus causing the ankle injury. I have seen Skip, I said Skip, Spin Martin, who undoubtedly has some of the most elite experience on NFL turf surfaces, and I've heard him say before it's a combination of the new advancements in cleats plus the playing surface that is leading to this, especially if you start trying to manipulate more and less crumb rubber. It starts to get wildly. And then Kaminsky, of course, after he shares his opinion, he was like, "No, I'm just genuinely curious. What is your opinion based on?" And then he stated, and he goes, "Oh, great, no data, thanks." Like condescending, go fuck yourself kind of reply there. I couldn't help but laugh when I read it. And I definitely do not disagree with Adam Russell, and I don't necessarily agree with him either because it's outside of my purview. I don't know enough to give a valid comment on this, but is it worth continuing to explore? Yes, 100%, right? I think all injuries in sports are worth exploring. Now, if anyone here amongst us has a more experience with artificial turf surfaces than anyone else, our own Ryan DeMay. Sir, when you see this, I'm curious, and I'm not looking for an expert, 100% scientific reasoned. I'm not gonna Dr. Kaminsky, so no data, thanks you. But what I am legitimately interested in is that what is your initial gut reaction when you see a lot of these, or do you have one? And you're actually like, you know what? As of right now, I don't have enough data to say fucking anything. I have no fucking clue. Whatever it is, or yours.
My reaction is that there's been some big injuries on both surfaces this year. I personally, I would prefer that fields are grass, but I understand why they need to be turf. And I think in this particular case, where Adam is pointing this out, is he's probably right, just in terms of if you look at how the foot moves and how leg sticks as he gets to the end of that skid, like he was saying, it catches, and you've got a problem. I think that there's there was issues at the Pac-12, so they played at Allegiant Stadium, which is in Las Vegas, where the Raiders play, and they actually roll out the tray system with a natural grass field on it, and there's a synthetic field that's below. And that field, you could see small creases in it. You could see little bits of seams and things like that, where I'm not saying it was completely unsafe, but there was definitely portions of it that just didn't pass the eye test. And I'm sure that there's data support that it was okay, it was safe, it was good to go. But those things turn perception and make it worse, right? So you get a star player like Rodgers that gets hurt, you get more people that get hurt on that particular surface. The most recent one there, the guy from the Dolphins was hurt on that same field that Rodgers was hurt on. Is it completely causal that that field is causing injuries? I think that there's data to support that there's more injuries on that particular field, right? And that was what bore out last year when they're talking about all the data from the NFL, is that there were more injuries on those types of fields, right? And not to get too technical or anything like that, but in those cases, right, the argument was, yeah, but overall it's trending in the right direction. So glossing over the data that was there, to Kaminsky's point, you want to see data. There is data out there, and it supports that some of these fields are not nearly as safe as what some other ones are. Now, here's the other thing too, fellas, is that we're talking about this at the highest level. So you're looking at NFL fields that get replaced no more than every 2 years, maybe 3 at the most. So you take that same type of surface, right, and you extend its lifespan out somewhere between 4 and 6x what you're seeing in the worst possible conditions in the NFL, and you put high schoolers on it. Now, granted, the forces aren't nearly as great. Weight, mass, acceleration, all those things aren't as great, but is that a good spot to put kids at that level in? So I get the reaction and the pushback in the NFL and the professional at the highest level space, but there's so much more that goes on and so many more, like tens of thousands of hours of use that gets completed on collegiate fields, intramural fields, high school fields, park and rec fields, that's where we should be spending more time, more effort, more energy. Because yes, the NFL players, they make millions of dollars. The sport generates billions, of dollars. However, are we doing everybody a service by making sure that just those guys have the best to play on? I don't know. I don't think we are. So
when kids are involved, that's a whole nother ball game, right?
yeah.
I'm gonna phrase this out to anybody who's listening. I'm curious what your takes on it are. Again, I think it's easy, just like the glyphosate boogeyman, right? I think it's easy to look at anything that's new or foreign or outside of the norm and point at it and say, yeah, that's a problem, right? And we don't have to be that way, but I am curious what other listeners' opinions are. Feel free to share them in the comments, or you can even email us as a mailbag, and we'll certainly talk about it.
Put that in the record.
Swedish fertilizer producer puts factory in northern Sweden on hold and prioritizes the U.S. in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Oh man, stomping grounds of mine. They said, you know what? Things in Sweden are, like, wasn't that the great debate, is that America needs to be more like Sweden? Well, it turns out economically, they would much rather invest in growing economically in the United States than they would in Sweden. Weird how that happens. I don't understand.
I know why, anyway, Matt. I know why.
I know why. Of course we do, but it goes against what everybody talks about, right? Why is that, Ray?
It is because at least in the United States, and you notice, Matt, which state the Swedes decided to open their factory. Notice the state. Okay, notice the state. It ain't in goddamn California now, then, is it? It's not in New York.
No.
Right?
No, it's not.
Okay? And, to answer the question, it is because what has been the agenda in the European Union in the last decade? What has been the actual agenda? What have we been talking about on Burn and Return almost every single episode? It is how, the government has a very different idea about modern agriculture and food, availability. They have a very different idea about that. At least Sweden is opening a factory where we appreciate, well, some of us do anyway, we appreciate agriculture. I know I do.
Yeah, and interestingly, it's in Hopkinsville. And by the way, when we had our apartment in Madisonville back in the Carbon Earth days, we would drive through Hopkinsville every day, and it is a small town, not a lot there. And what's interesting is that this is a potassium sulfate plant, and they are recycling potassium sulfate from other industries. So unique thing, and again, like Ray was talking about, recycling not just phosphorus but also potassium as well. Here we go. And so kudos to those guys for doing that, and kudos to the fucking US of A for making it right, for bringing these motherfuckers right on home. We're going to put them to good use. As of right now, potassium sulfate's available out of Mosaic. It's available out of Utah. And I'm drawing a blank on the Compass Minerals, and now we're going to have one right in the fucking heartland. And man, that is erection quality awesome right there. Also, hey, guess what? Millbrae bans new artificial turf. This city council votes unanimously to prohibit synthetic grass and enact maintenance requirements for current installations. Millbrae City Council passed an ordinance that bans the installation of artificial turf and synthetic grass and mandates proper maintenance of existing turf that was installed legally. It was enacted by the city and is a prohibition of a more permanent continuation of the moratorium enacted by the city in 2021 that paused all new synthetic turf installations after negative environmental impacts began to surface. There's plastics like nylons, different kinds of materials in there, and we're concerned about an impact on stormwater, aquatic life, and things of that nature. What about human health? That should be a big one too, right? Before people learn more, they probably put these in because they were going through years and years of drought. They thought they were being environmentally mindful, trying to do the right thing. But this is also really expensive. Doing landscape projects is not a small amount of money. And ask people to completely change something that they may have recently put in and start fining them for it if they can't afford to do so. It puts people in a really difficult financial situation. So we're going to be working with them to at least upgrade or maintain maintenance programs on these, and then we're going to pause on new ones. I don't know. Interesting here again, DeMay. When you see this, when you see this, what goes through your head? I've caught you at the most inopportune time. When you, I just looked at the chat right there. I fucked that up. That was my fault. With Millbrae and their city council passing this ordinance to ban it, what goes through your mind when you see this?
Oh, I mean, I think that you're going to see more and more of that too. I think, especially where they're at in Mass. I think northeastern part of the country, California, you're starting to see some of it. There's just for the same reasons, right? The PFAS thing. There's going to be a lot coming down the pike, I think, on the turf. But I think it's going to be very regional. I don't think that you're going to see this outright ban across the country or anything like that. I think it's going to be more regional in nature, at least to start. And it's not a good stormwater practice, right? In terms of managing stormwater effectively. I mean, I understand the reduction in water use, but that's really all you could kind of say, I think, in terms of I would love to see somebody do a study on that, particularly in a residential landscape. If it's not been done, I'd love to see it. So if somebody knows of something, I would love to read that.
Ryan, I have an alternate thought on this whole artificial turf install issue, in that the artificial turf, I've seen it installed on solid concrete. That has happened. And that happened, I know, before Hawaii restricted use of artificial turf. Because I'm also in a locality where an artificial turf install must go through the city building department. And one of the main holds that may be placed on a prospective project are any kind of environmental concerns, either during construction or after construction. Any kind of environmental issue will cause that product to get shut down. No. And so long before PFAS even became a household word, the city already restricted artificial turf installs here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be small potatoes here for a while, but I think you'll have some bigger things on the horizon when it comes to that. I'll just say that and leave it there.
Can't wait to keep an eye on how that shakes out. Okay, we are going to get the fuck out of here. That makes up our episode. By the way, I'm playing around with the new AI shorts thing, so this will be a fun one. Then after it goes live, I'll start to cut some of this up and throw it out too. See how it continues to work out. Again, patreon.com/better return. A couple dates that you do not want to miss is when is our Christmas episode?
21st.
Thursday the 21st.
Okay, we've got the 21st. You don't want to miss that. That's always a fun one we do every year. And then
Santa will
the
be
week
there.
after that, on the 28th, yes, we have Santa. It's going to be a great
And Mrs.
time.
Claus, I think.
Mrs. Claus is going to be there with Claus out. Mrs. Claus with Claus. It's going to be a fun one. And then on the 28th, we are going to be giving back. And when I say you can't miss that, you can't miss the last 2 episodes of the year. I'm going to put it there. You cannot miss these. It is going to be off the fucking chain. We might go to jail too. I don't know. I don't care. I will gladly go to jail for this community. All right. Love y'all. We're going to go hang out with the patrons and let them choose this week's show title. Bye.